Our computer crashed. I don't know why. When I had pocket queens, I had raised, and then John 674, this idiot, re-raised me, and that's exactly what I was hoping for. And right when I was about to re-raise, the app crashed, and then the hand folded. I don't know if I was caught on stream. I can't check yet. I don't know. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. Unfucking believable. Hmm? Unfucking believable. Paid a fortune for this build and then crashed. So it's not the computer's fault. It's, Streamlabs crashed. Went batshit crazy. That's so annoying. The fuck you don't have. If you didn't call, I'm calling. Yeah, fuck all. Well. That was so frustrating. I was gonna take his money. Well, I don't know. It could have saved me money, but
What is going on, everyone? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video on the channel, and this one's going to be a big video because we've played a bunch of tournaments and some cash games in St. Martin here, and they're fun. But this one is the one that we came here for. It's the $1,700 main event. Buy-in is already more than like triple than most of the other buy-ins, and the cool thing about winning this one, or the cooler thing, is not only like the $50, $60, $80,000 for first place, but these rings here, look, they're like really cool, right? WSOP circuit rings obviously means a lot, and I don't take them for granted, but the main event, you get diamonds on them, so that's definitely a ring that I would want to have. It would be really cool to add another ring, but with diamonds to the collection. So gonna go for it. It's a big tournament. Let's try to run this up. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get into the action. So we hop into the $1,700 main event with 35,000 starting in chips. Here, diving into the action, we're at level 8 now, and I've chipped up to 50,000, and this interesting spot starts off with 6-7 of clubs in the small blind. There's a low jack open to 1,200, who I deem as a tight player. The hijack makes the call, and I decide to make the call as well here out of position, and of course, big blind is enticed to be in here, so we're going multi-way to a flop of King 4-5 Rainbow. Amazing flop with one club out there and our open-ended straight draw. Action checks to the low jack player, who bets out 2,300. When the action folds to me, I'm obviously continuing with our straight draw. Up and down cards, an 8 or 3 would give us the nuts. I'm in here, I call, and the big blind calls as well. Let's try to bink, and the turn is a miraculous 3, baby. Let's go. Not even a flush draw in sight, and sitting with the nuts, I thought about leading here, trying to get some value from a player who might be sticky, but I think better of it and check. Action checks around. We're off to a river now, which comes another board pairing 3, and I'm thinking after action check through, I probably should have bet the turn, but it's time to make up for value here. Trying to bet big, make up for the lost value that I could have had on the turn, I decide to go into the field and bet out 12,000.
For fuck's sake.
Thinks about it, and from my perspective, he's definitely one that does not like to fold, and hoping he calls, he does stick some chips in the middle. The low jack folds, I show my hand and win. Pretty big pot early on in this tournament, and now I am double starting stack with over 70,000. In the next hand, I get moved, and we pick up 6s on the button. There's a +1 open to 2,000, and this player has been pretty active, raising 3 hands in a row now, but seems like a solid player. I make the call with my pair, and everyone folds. Heads up to a flop of Jack 4-4, 2 clubs, and now he bets out 4,000. Already thinking that this hand is a little strange on this paired board. I have a pair of 6s, which is pretty strong for the most part. Anyways, I'm confused, but too strong to fold, obviously. I make the call and see a turn, which is the 8 of spades. Not amazing. A card over my pair is obviously not great, but 8 shouldn't be too relevant, as how many 8s is he going to have in this spot? But he continues again for 8,000. Trying to tell the story that he has a strong hand, betting pretty big, both streets, and I think this is just a really weird spot to be in. Theoretically here, I feel like I have to call, although I'm not sure in the moment, as this player should have plenty of bluffs, but calling with third pair here obviously isn't a super comfortable spot to be in. Ultimately, I end up making the call here. We're in position and hoping to see a clean river, which is the ace of diamonds. Oh dear God, this is not a good river. Out of all the river cards I wanted to see, this one might be the worst one. Not only does it smash his range, but he could also just bluff at this card relentlessly, as it's going to hit him a lot more than me, and I'm screaming for him to check.
Fuck me, I'm going to lose now.
For a long time and ends up checking. I snap check this one back, hoping to see I'm good, and he shows King 9 of clubs, and I win. Thank freaking God this player didn't bet the river, as I would have had to fold, but this pot goes my way, and the chip stack is just getting bigger and bigger. I end off the night with an insignificant 6-7 offsuit hand, where I end up bluffing on the flop and turn and get my bluff through. Anyways, not a lot of action here to end off night 1 of the main event, but I ended up bagging over 100,000 chips, entering day 2 as a pretty large stack, and the best part is I only bought in 1 time. Let's go. Okay, ending off the night. We didn't play many like significant hands, but all things considered, things went well. There's like half the field left that entered, so there's gonna be a day 1B that's gonna happen tomorrow. I get a break technically. We'll see if I actually end up playing tomorrow or not. but it's nice to just bag after one bullet, which is amazing. Quite the dream. And we'll play day 2 in 2 days. We'll see how it goes. The guaranteed prize pool is 200,000, so first place might be a little juicy. This is a 3-day event, so we'll have fun. We'll continue this vlog in day 2. Wish us luck. I'm gonna catch some sleep. It's like 2:30, 3 a.m. I'll see you guys, I guess, in 2 seconds. So the start of the next day before day 2 of the tournament starts, we actually end up going to a parrot farm on the island of St. Martin. I was recommended that this was a must-see place where there are over 100 different species of birds. You could feed them, or you could watch them make out or something. Anyways, you know, enough of the bird porn. We're going to start into day 2 with 1-hour levels, and into level 11, one of the first hands getting dealt in. I pick up ace 7 offsuit in the cutoff and raise it up to 2,700. Small blind, the chip leader in this tournament so far, and I played with her a bunch. She makes the call, and the big blind calls as well. So 3 ways in position, and the flop is magical. Ace, king, 7, 2 hearts. Action checks to me, and with 6,500 in the middle, I decided to bet on the smaller side to 1,500. Definitely could have gone bigger with obviously a very strong hand, but when both players make the call for 1,500, we've got some action. We're off to a turn which is the 5 of diamonds, and action checks to me again, and certainly time to size up. Like I said, the small blind player is playing plenty deep, and I want to get a lot in the middle, so I size to 8,500, and we get exactly what we wanted. Small blind player makes the call with a big stack, and the big blind folds. So a fun pot brewing here so far with 2 pair. The river is a queen. The flush draw misses, but she actually ends up reaching for chips, and ultimately ends up sizing to a bet of 22,000. And I think I just have a pretty easy snap call here. I don't think raising is too great, considering that there's not many worse hands that could call me. So I don't want to go broke, as she's one of the very few stacks that cover me, so I call. She has king, queen of spades, and 2 pair versus river to 2 pair, quite the cooler, and I rack up a really big pot to start the day. Things are going well in my favor. I pick up queen, jack of spades in the small blind, and there's an undergun open to 3,200. The cutoff makes the call, button makes the call, and I'm in here as well with some suited Broadway cards. The flop comes 10-9-6 all diamonds. So flopping an open-ended straight draw here, I check it over to the undergun player who bets out 4,600. And when the cutoff and button both fold to me, I'm happy to just peel 1 card and see what happens. I make the call, and the turn is the 7 of spades now. And I think that this is actually a pretty great card to bluff on. Given the board texture, it's going to be pretty hard for him to have strong hands unless they're just flushes. So I go for it and lead for 8,500 this time, and this player stares at me, at the board, and into my soul for a while, and ends up just making the call. So I'm feeling pretty good about it, as I think really strong hands would have raised, hoping to either make my hand or fire the river. The river is the 5 of spades. Total blank on this board, and I've just got to go with the story of having a strong hand. I bump up the sizing to 35,000 now. He doesn't look super happy about this situation and ends up folding. Nice start to day 2. First 2 hands are going exactly my way. Going up to level 12 now, there's a cutoff open to 3,500. He's sitting with about 20,000, and action folds to me. I peel pocket jacks. Seems like a pretty easy decision here, so I go all in. This player takes his time, doesn't snap call, so I feel pretty good about it, but ends up making the call. We end up seeing that we're up against ace 10 offsuit, so I'm in pretty good shape to win this until an ace high flop. Doesn't feel good, as I'm left to drawing to 2 outs, turns a brick, and the river bank jack. 2 outer for the win to stack this opponent. It's a relatively small pot considering how big these pots get so far, but definitely crucial to chip up, get some run good on my side, and win this one. With things going my way, I pick up queen 9 offsuit in the hijack and decide to raise this one to 3,600. Probably a little too loose, but I'm here to play pots. The big blind makes the call. Seems like a pretty solid euro here. Going to a flop of jack 10-4 rainbow. He checks it over to me, and once again, I have another open-ended straight draw. I decide to fire out 5,200 into the middle here. And for 5,200, he decides to check raise, piles in more chips in the middle to 12.4 thousand. He's sitting with maybe 20,000 behind this raise, and I'm open-ended here, so drawing to the nuts, I'm just never folding here. Along with having one overcard to the board, I'm thinking that if I just make the call, he's got about a 2/3 pot-sized bet behind. So I certainly could play in position and go with that route, or I just ride the tournament variance and just go all in. I'm thinking this player can check raise a lot of one pair holdings or bottom pair plus backdoor holdings. And against half of his check raising hands, I'm doing pretty okay. So I'm happy to gamble, and I'm pretty much only crushed against two pair or king queen. That would really suck, but I have a big stack. I'm gambling. I go all in, and he snap calls. Snap calls are never fun to hear, and he ends up showing us Jack 4 of hearts. Time to hit, right? The turn 4 completely draws our hopes dead. I'm drawing dead here, and I pay him his stack as he boats up. He had 34,000 in chips, and now my chip stack's down to 150,000. After losing that one, time to rebound. I pick up pocket fives in the small blind. There's a cutoff raise to 5,500. The button makes the call upon a really big stack, and I'm thinking here, if the button wasn't in here, I easily could raise, but ultimately, I just make the call. Big blind makes the call as well, so 4 ways to a flop of Jack, Jack, Deuce, 2 diamonds in the club. Action checks to the cutoff player who bets out 8,000. The button folds, and here with a pair on a paired board here, thinking that my hand's going to be ahead a lot of the time, I make the call, and the big blind folds. Going heads up to a turn, which is the 8 of clubs, 2 flush draws on the board. Board's a little bit more connected with some straight draws as well. I check it over to him, but he decides to check back. We're off to a river now, which is the 3 of clubs, so shouldn't really change too much as the backdoor flush draw got there. I check, and I think for a while. Just have no idea what's going on. Why is this line being taken? I am just all around very, very confused. I don't think this all-in makes any sense in my head right now, and it doesn't really scream like value at all. But the issue is that playing in this field of players, I don't think anyone is really going to go all in as a bluff, especially on the river for their tournament life. But I'm trying to find hands that's going to play this way. And
Put a 7
I
down.
don't see a jack playing this way at all for value, because why would they ever check back on the turn? An overpair obviously bets again as well for those same reasons, and I'd have a really good bluff catcher. I pretty much only lose to pocket 8s or pocket 3s, and obviously full houses are hard to make, and my hand serves as a good bluff catcher, being that I unblock all of the draws that he could have, and it's not connected to the board. Pocket 5s doesn't connect with 10-9, doesn't connect with Queen-Jack, doesn't connect with any clubs or diamonds, so okay, screw it. Someone show me a bluff. I'm hoping he bluffs. I toss in a chip for a call, and he has pocket freaking 3s. That sounds about right. No bluffs here for all-in pots, and my chip stack goes down to 90,000. I give him 50,000, and I'm not feeling great anymore. All right, we're on dinner break. I have like 85K, not a lot going on. Just walking across the street to the resort where there's like free buffet and whatever if you stay there. So that's the plan. Just gonna get some food with Alex, girlfriends, for about 70 minutes, but pretty frustrated at just myself with not learning how to fucking fold one time. It's just crazy. No one here is bluffing, especially for the, well, no one's here bluffing in general. No one's here bluffing for the tournament life, and I can't find a fucking fold with 4th goddamn pair, so just pretty tilted at myself. I have like less than 30 bigs when I come back. They just announced the prize pool, where I'll update you guys here where it's a little bit more quiet. They updated the prize pool where there's 75 players left, 27 make the money. First place is like 92K or something like that. So I'll just play my 30 bigs as best as I can moving forward and try to move on, because shit already happened, but did not need to lose 48,000 in chips. Just gonna stop talking about it, stop thinking about it. Let's just regroup, and I'll see you guys in 60 minutes. Coming back from dinner break, having to reset and cool down after the pocket 5s hand, I pick up ace-jack offsuit in the cutoff. There is an undergun player who limps, low jack limps, and a hijack raise to 6,500 on a big stack. I'm playing in position of this player. There's a ton of people interested in the pot, and I think the best way to play this hand is to go for a raise. Try to isolate, or maybe just try to take it down pre-flop. I 3-bet to 15,000. and action folds around to the ungun player, who ends up limp jamming. He goes all in now for 43,000, and action folds all the way to me. I'm thinking in my head, like, a limp all in for his entire stack must be a premium, right? After I 3-bet, it's only 10 big blinds more for me to call. Granted, it's about half of my stack, and I think I'm just in a very annoying spot. I'm hoping to be in here for a flip. This turn of events is obviously just really unfortunate, but hoping to see he has a small pocket pair. I make the call, and he has a pocket pair. It's just the best one, though. Just aces. Ace-jack is just not going to win this one after a run-out. I lose. My stack went from doing really well in this tournament down to 42,000, and either I'm just playing pathetic poker, or I don't know, really disappointed at myself at this turn of events in this tournament here. And even more unfortunate is that the very next deal, the player that I just doubled up ends up punting king 6 into a set of 8s, going all in on the flop. So I don't know, man. Nice hand to this dude. Happy I gave him some chips, but he just gave them right back. 2 deals later, after the ace-jack debacle, I end up picking up ace-10 offsuit in early position and raise it pre-flop. The player to my left makes the call, and action folds to the button, the guy that I doubled up, who no longer has a big stack. He goes all in for 16,000 after his punt, and action folds to me. I have under 20 big blinds, so ace-10 off, I'm just gonna go for it. I rejam, and the player to my left also calls. That can't be good news for me at all, and we're going 3 ways all in. My ace-10 is up against ace-queen, the player to my left, and the button has king-8 offsuit for some reason. So I'm going to need some help, and the flop comes 10 high. I find the sick 3 outer against a dominating ace, and the runout comes clean, and we're riding the roller coaster variants of tournaments, going up and down and back up. My stack is at 115,000 after ending up in Suck Out City, population me. Feels like I got a lifeline that I desperately needed winning this hand 3 ways. There are 66 players left. Let's make the money in this thing. On the comeback trail right now, and in the next level, I'm in the small blind and I see some action. The cutoff raises to 7,000, the button 3-bets to 22,000, and I peel pocket 7s. Oh dear God. Facing all this action from the latest position players, they certainly can have wide ranges, and I decide to count out my stack. At this point, I have 90,000 total, and can I ever talk myself out of not jamming? I think the standard GTO play would be to go all in, given I have about 30 big blinds. Along with that, these 2 players have been pretty tight, so if I go all in, they could also just fold better hands or hands that I'm flipping against as well. So, I don't know. You can't win tournaments without being in uncomfortable situations. And this one, 4-bet jamming pocket 7s, is certainly an uncomfortable one. I decide to pull the trigger and go all in. The cutoff quickly folds, and the button, not so much. He certainly takes his time going over his options, and I'm sweating this one out. Both players obviously cover me. This button player has a massive stack, and my stack really wouldn't be much compared to his. But ultimately, he ends up finding the fold button, and this was just huge. Taking down over 30,000 in chips pre-flop without any contention. I'm going to call that one a success, and I'm just going to take the chips and move on.
That's so bad.
Trying to move on quietly, but the very next deal, I pick up aces, and the cutoff raises to 8,500. And obviously, I want more. I just 4-bet ripped it into him relatively light, and this time I have aces. I re-raise to 23,000 and folds around to this cutoff player who ends up making the call. Okay, we've got action. The flop comes king, queen, 5, 2 hearts. Come on, I'm hoping he has a king here somehow. He checks it over to me, and I'm going to bet small. I bet out 16,000 here, but he folds quickly. Unfortunate to not make more here, but still massive back-to-back hands, and I'm all the way back up to 157,000. In the next interesting spot, I pick up king-queen offsuit in the low jack and raise this one up to 7,000. folds around to the small blind player who ends up making the call. From my opinion, he seems like a pretty competent player and should know that he should have a narrow calling range here playing in the small blind. Well, after all that, the big blind decides to go all in, but it's only 8,500 total. So 1,500 more, no decision, I call, small blind calls. So we're going three ways, one all in, going to a flop of king 10-9 2 spades. He checks it over to me, and I actually think I should check this a lot of the time. As we're playing a dry side pot, no one's really ever bluffing, and I'm not bluffing with top pair. Anyways, I decided to bet 7,500, hoping he connected with the board some way. And for 7,500, he makes the call. Okay, got another big pot brewing here. The turn is a brick deuce of diamonds. He checks again for a second time, and now, as I'm thinking that I should have checked on the flop, I guess I want to check on the turn, as I think he's going to have a lot of strong hands on this board. If I'm betting here, I'm only targeting worse kings, and that's pretty hard to have on this board. Or he just can have a spade draw, but I end up checking back and seeing a river, which is the 10 of spades. Not the most amazing card, as now the spade draws that I was ahead of, I'm behind. But when he checks again for a third time, now it seems pretty obvious that I have the best hand. Got to go for value and hoping he somehow has a hand like king 8, king jack. Who knows? But I go for a fairly big bet of 35,000. And upon this bet, he immediately doesn't look happy. So giving off this tell with his face, I'm confident that he won't go all in and I don't have to face a bad decision. Thinking I'm ahead here, I am praying for a call. Ultimately, he ends up tanking and calling. I show he has king jack of hearts, freaking Bank City for us here. I'm all the way back with my chip stack. After almost being eliminated, I have over 200,000 in stack, and things are just going swimmingly. All right, last time we spoke like this, it was maybe 4 hours ago. I was pretty upset and going on dinner break. We played for 3 levels at 1 hour each level, and played a lot of fucking poker. We're on a break right now. 1 hour levels take forever, and we're gonna be playing for a while. I think we have 2 more hours left of poker, it seems, and we haven't made the money yet. There's about 40 players left, 27 make the money, and I feel like I just got a second chance, second life. After that, like semi-triple up with ace-10 versus ace-queen and king-8, and that was where the tournament life was supposed to end, and we've ran it the hell up from there, pretty amped, and I was just pretty card dead for the last hour, just folded. Stack is around like 220K, something like that, we'll see, and hopefully we'll just make it to the money by the end of today. 2 more hours, we're playing till 4 a.m. today. Try to run it up. First place is 92K and a beautiful diamond circuit ring. We're gonna go for that. Wish us luck, and I'll try to grind it out. Pretty tired right now, though. 2 more hours left of this day. Let's go. Progressing to level 17 now after the break. I have pocket kings in early position. I raise it up to 11,000 pre-flop here and get a lot of action. Low jack, small blind, and big blind are all interested in the pot. We're going 4 ways to a flop of jack 5-6 2 spades. Action checks it to me here, and with my overpair, certainly going to go for value multi-way. So I decide to bet out 16,000. The low jack decides to fold, so now I can play this hand in position. And surprisingly, both small blind and big blind calls. So definitely have a massive pot brewing here with over 90,000 in the middle. Let's see a turn, which is the 10 of diamonds. All right, I'm certainly committing stacks here now with my overpair on a relatively safe turn. If someone has jack 10, so be it. Action checks to me, and I bet out 65,000. And for 65,000, both players fold quickly, so not going to complain. Won a big pot, don't need to be greedy and win more chips. I'm just happy to be chipping up and not losing. In the following hand, I pick up jack 10 offsuit in the big blind. There's an undergun open to 11,000. This guy has a massive chip stack covering the table, and when action folds to me, certainly have a playable hand, so I make the call. We're off to a flop, which comes 9-8-7, the nuts. I get so excited, I flip my phone onto the ground, unfortunately. Okay, let's just try to reset real quick. Anyways, I start with a check, hoping he'll find a way to blast into it, but he ends up checking back. We're going to a turn which comes a 5, so any 6 makes a straight now. Don't think he's going to have a strong hand on this board, but got to go for value, so I size up to 22,000. And he calls, surprisingly. Actually surprised to get action here, and like I said, I'm not expecting his hands to ever hit this board, but here we are. Let's see a river, which is a brick deuce.
the most brick of all cards to see. It's amazing. And if he can call a big turn bet, let's see if he can call a big river bet. I size up to a chunky amount of 75,000. And this player goes into the tank, putting him into a tough spot. I'm thinking maybe he can have an overpair or two pair that decides to check on this flop for some reason. I'm not entirely sure, but he ends up tossing a chip for
What the
a
fuck?
call. Yeah, I'm going to show my nuts on the table, sir. Don't get disgusted, but give me your 75,000. It's coming right into my stack. He fires his cards in the muck, and we win a chunky pot, but there's no time wasted as the very next deal. We get involved again in the small blind with 8-9 of spades, and action folds to me. I decide to limp it over to my opponent here, just won a massive pot against. With my limp, he raises massive to 20,000. Okay, well, I have a really playable hand, and he's raising so big. Maybe he's just tilted from the last hand, or maybe he also has a good hand himself. Regardless, it's time to battle again. I go make the call and see a flop of ace-9-4, 2 clubs and a spade. With middle pair here, I check. He bets out 25,000, so almost half pot. Definitely plenty of equity on this board here, as I have 2 pair draws, I have some spade combos, and I beat a lot of air. So I make the call and see the turn, which is the 10 of spades. Oh boy. I check again to him, and he decides to blast off 65,000 in the middle. An absolutely insanely massive bet. I just got a bunch of his chips pushed my way. Is there ever a way in the world here where I can find a fold? This player has 150,000 behind, and this bet, I mean, I could just go all in, or I could call and get it all if I bink the river. That's one option, or option number 2 could just be conservative. Fold my equity, conserve my chips, don't have to battle the other massive stack at the table. I just got these chips, right? Ultimately, look, I'm here to win this tournament, not just try to run deep and cash here. So winning means I have to get all the chips. Why not start with this, guys? I make the call and hoping to bink on the river, trying to see a black spade. It is the black 7 of clubs. Damn it, man. So freaking close to binking. I check, and he quickly checks back. I show my hand, and he surprisingly has a premium himself. Ace, Queen of Hearts. So this hand didn't work. My chip stack goes down, but I could have had a massive, massive pot go my way.
All right, it's break time again, and
All right, this is it. Come on.
Some stuff. I haven't actually.
Fuck. No one wants to play.
Actually gone over that many hands. We've played 2 hours. We're going to enter after this break the last level of the day. There are 32 players left. 27 make the money, and I am short. You haven't seen that many hands because I haven't played that many hands. I've been card dead for a while now, and every hand I have played, I've lost. So I'm sitting with like 150K. I just paid the blinds, which is nice, but they're going up. Oh, I have less than 20 bigs. Not a good spot to be in. 5 left to make the money. ICM is going to be pretty huge. I'm going to be folding a lot, and I just don't want to be all in this situation, but if it comes to it, then so be it. I don't know. It's just I'm not in a good spot to be in right now, and maybe we can navigate through this thing. We have 1 level left, 1 hour left till the day ends, and that's all I got. I don't know. Not feeling amazing about it, but we'll just try to grind it out. Hope for the best. Let's try to get lucky.
Okay, after break, we're at level 19 now. Blinds are massive, and my chip stack is tiny. I'm in a pretty awful situation. In the first hand from break, I pick up ace-5 of diamonds in the button, and this is just going to be an all-in at most stack depths. The low jack player raises to 16,000 on an 80,000 stack. Not much going on here, but this hand is too good to fold, and definitely just going to go all in. I jam, and this guy just shows pocket queens. He's not showing his hands because he's folding. It's because he's certainly in here, and why wouldn't he just flop top set? Basically, flopping us dead and ends up rivering quads. That's a pretty good hand, sir. So I give him most of my chips, and now I'm down to 67,000. The very next deal, I pick up ace deuce offsuit, and for my tournament life, I just have to win this. I jam. Luckily, everyone folds, so I chip back up just a hair to 87,000. There are 30 players left, and this is just the ultimate sweat. And the next deal, I'm in the big blind and pick up 8 deuce offsuits. This is not the premium I wanted to see, and I'm gonna have to give this one up. Down to 71,000 before being in the small blind and folding my garbage holding. Down to 68,000 now in stack with 29 players left, and one orbit goes around until I see my big blind. I have to pay my big blind sidely with 51,000 behind, and sweat time. Let's see something good. I peel the good old 8-6 offsuits. Gonna have to fold this one against another under the gun open. Then small blind. Need something to bail me out, and I pick up king 9 of spades. Yeah. When action folds to me, this is a pretty easy all-in. Granted, the big blind has a pretty big stack, and I have nothing. I go all in when action folds to me, and the big blind ends up tank folding. I pick up my big blind chips again, and I'm down to 67,000. Desperately need 2 players to bust, or just double up. The dealer heard my prayers and gives me ace-king in the cutoff. Action folds to me, and this is an easy all-in until the big blind has aces. The not worst hand to be up against when you have ace-king, basically drawing extremely slim to either hitting trip kings or a straight or a flush. And the flop comes king high, so I have 2 outs to stay alive and double up, but sadly it doesn't happen. And I am out in 28th place, the stone bubble. And when I'm eliminated, everyone else has now made the money and cashed in this main event tournament.
It's a lot of hours spent to be the bubble boy. Ran deep, just not deep enough. Finished 29th, 27 get paid. It's pretty painful to spend 20 hours, 20 plus hours playing poker and cashing out with 0. At least I was in for 1 bullet. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I guess like I'm not here to min cash. I'm just here to win. Shit fucking happens. I don't know. There you go. I don't know if you can hear that. They're announcing the bubble. I was not the actual bubble, but you know, close enough. Still close enough. It's 4 a.m. Cashed out, played for 20 hours, cashed out 0. It's just painful. Thanks so much for watching. Pretty painful. Just a lot of ups and downs of poker, and it's been a lot of downs so far. But I'm happy to document the journey, and hopefully you guys get some entertainment out of this. See you guys in the next one. Peace.
Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 182, and for this one, we're playing high stakes at my hometown casino, Grayton. We're playing 10-25 with occasional $50 straddles, and
Can I once get a fortunate run out? Only way to play it.
By side. You've seen this photograph as well, right?
I have.
On the third day of your direct testimony, you testified that this photograph reflected spilled wine in Penthouse 5 on May 21st, 2016, didn't you?
Again, I don't know because I'm looking at a partial picture of a floor, so unless you remove the metadata you've covered up, we could then tell. If you
I didn't cover it up, Your Honor.
Could we unredact
Your Honor
them so we could get context?
That's how it's in evidence.
That's how it's in evidence.
Next
Well,
question.
the metadata next to it is so that
Ms.
to
Hurd,
avoid this
Ms.
sort of
Hurd, there is
confusion.
no question pending, and I would appreciate it if you wouldn't be making argument to the jury.
Sorry, I
It's
thought you had
inappropriate.
asked me about it.
No, I didn't ask you about anything. Let's look at your direct testimony from the third day.
Favorable flop. Favorable-ish. Need to bet something. Jesus.
am a fan of golden hoops.
What's on? Give it up for Meek Mill and welcome home! The Warriors 9 for 14. Curry another one. Backpedals, watches it pass through. 4 for 4 from McCollum.
Okay, come on.
Here's Bane. Teardrop. He is not in Tampa. He's in Brooklyn. We've got spillage in the front row. And that's the stoppage of the game right now.
Well, I hope it wasn't a vodka and
It may have been. Take a look.
You know what I mean? A beer you can get away with.
This always amazes me that a game will be stopped based on this.
Well, you know what?
Big company here in Milwaukee tonight. President Bill Clinton, 42nd.
So run through some musical talent here tonight. Halsey in attendance. Flea always in his seat. Baseline and Drake doesn't get more in. And some of the fans in the house. Flea, of course, his regular spot baseline near the visiting bench. Blue Adler's been around as long as anybody watching Laker basketball. And Bad Bunny is front row tonight also. Part of the crowd experience.
To Rose. Rose tries a three-pointer. Rose with the answer as well. Miles. Gordon. And he was out of bounds when he touched it. Philadelphia ball. Faces the rim. Hayward is trying to catch it and ball time out. That's a baby. Told him he was levitating. Nice tip. Bridges to Plumlee and then Johnson the rejection. But Paul soars him.
To the rebound. Well, the three-point disparity is huge. Toppin gets ahead of the pack and throws it down.
A guy who cannot stay in front of you. Make it quick. Make it quick. Reggie Jackson. Is it chilly out?
That big lead and really took their foot off the gas.
It's the Rockets outlasting OKC. You see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Big help for Drake. He's a huge NBA fan. He certainly can relate. Anthony, three-pointer. It's good. With 0.2 of a second remaining.
And clubs.
And right in front of his mom, right there on the bench.
Back here at Barclays Center, Jack Harlow on hand. So is Meek Mill. And of course,
Celebrity Row, Kevin Bacon, Kira Sedgwick. Oh, Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots.
they're right in back of us.
Yes, they are.
Well, just about the whole world has seen his series, Ted Lasso. Jason Sudeikis is here, and if you haven't seen it, by the way, couldn't recommend anything any more highly than that. There's Mookie Betts.
Over to Scotty. To Trent Jr. the three. Yes, he did. Oh, they're going to have to foul. There's a foul.
I think they're getting solid minutes. Siakam, body bump, pump fake, and a deuce. He is. Leonard the other way. He got met by Simmons and still converts. Kawhi Leonard is a 45 for Kawhi Leonard.
Quickly, effervescent.
Rose from three. Next.
There's a goat in the house.
Think about a timeout in this situation, but
Chris will take it for three. Size hit it up for the lead.
Now see the switch that they're doing, it plays right into what Trey wants.
Boy, he is on it. Brian Snitker, 45 years in the Braves organization. Listen, there's Donovan Mitchell.
Toppin tries again. Pops it in. Obi Toppin launches a three-pointer. Smash. Randall to Burks. Burks a three. Burks does it again.
The date, November 11th, 2021. Trae Young, 42. And ties his career high with
Boston switching everything. He ends up on quickly, disrupts that shot. Randall! A foul! And a chance with his body. Young gets it back and buries it from deep. It is so hard to guard.
Saw Walsh. Great pass to Zubac. Boy, he dropped a dime inside for the bucket.
63% shooter.
Right. We either make it, we don't. No pushing any buttons this time. Look at this. Raise, call, re-raise. Bet, call, re-raise. Come on. Alright, at least we took it down.
Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoint and welcome to my 2022 room tour. And this is the video where I show you everything in my setup. This includes the TV area, the gaming desk setup, the shelves, and how I've combined them all into one room. I have put the timestamps and links to everything below, so if there is something you like, you can check that out. Well, I hope you enjoy my living room / gaming setup tour today, but if I did miss anything, drop your questions below and I will get back to you. First up, let me show you the TV setup, as I feature this area quite a lot on the channel. Any TV unboxings or videos related to the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox are usually shown on here. So I'm using the 77-inch LG C1 OLED, which has been absolutely awesome and is literally the best TV that I've ever owned. The picture quality still blows me away every time that I use it, and it's perfect for movies and gaming. Now, the reason I chose the C1 over anything else wasn't just for the awesome picture quality, but for the incredible gaming modes. So the C1 actually has full HDMI 2.1 support for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and that includes VRR, 4K and 120Hz capability. And as I game probably 80% of my time from here, the TV needed to be decent enough for it. I often get asked how far do I sit from the TV? Well, I sit around 10 feet from the screen, which is probably the closest you'd ever want to be from a 77-inch. It definitely feels immersive when watching movies or playing games, but it is awesome as well. You'll notice that behind the TV I've got some RGB lighting. Now this is not part of the TV, so it does not react to what's on the screen, but it does create a nice glow and it is fully customizable through an app. So these are actually called the LifeX Z strips, and they are stuck on the back with 3M tape. I'm actually using 5 meters of them here. Now they don't look particularly tidy back here, but they do look awesome when they're on. During the day, I usually have them set to a clean white glow. That just brightens up the wall behind the TV. But it's at night where these lights really shine. They completely transform the room. Now, although I usually show my setup with the clean white lights on, I actually have these RGB lights on almost every single night. Apart from when I'm watching movies, I usually have them off or very low. So I've wall mounted my TV on an arm from Envision. I've had this arm for about 5 years now, and I've used it on about 5 different TVs. It can actually hold up to 40 kilos, and as it swivels and moves, it means I can pull the TV right out to get to the plugs or the ports. And talking about the plugs, I actually had these wall sockets put in back in 2019 when I redesigned the room. So I don't know how long you've been following me for, but I used to have the TV in the corner of the room just over here. Then a few years ago, I decided to knock out the chimney part of the wall and move the entire setup over. While I was at it, I had some plugs fitted and some trunking put inside the wall for my cable management. So this cable management hole in the wall is how I hide all of the cables that go from the TV down to the cabinet. A lot ask me how I have no cables on show. Well, this is how I do it. It keeps the setup looking tidy, as you can't see any wires at all. And as I put the trunking in the wall, I can easily swap the cables out when I need to. So under the TV, I've got this wooden AV unit. Now this was custom made for me back in 2015, way before I had my YouTube or Instagram account. I designed it to hold all of the gear that I had at the time, but it's lasted me a lot longer than I expected. I actually hand drew it, mocked it up in Photoshop, then I found a local joiner to build it for me. I then painted it and I slotted it into the corner. Since then it's moved slightly to the left and I made a door to cover up the speaker hole that I used to have. Now this unit is stupidly heavy and it's solid as well. I can stand on it and it won't flex, and I've even had 86-inch TVs on here without issue. In this little shelf, I've got some wooden PlayStation icons. Now these were custom made by Geek Made Designs, a company that makes loads of different gaming accessories out of wood. They do now sell these on their website too if you wanted to check them out. Next to that, there's my center channel, and this is a monitor audio bronze speaker, and it's part of a 5.1 kit. This speaker is essentially where the dialogue or the voices come from while you're watching TV. Then finally, you've got the PlayStation 5, and this is the disc version complete with the official Midnight Black plates. I definitely play this more than anything else I have in my setup, and it looks awesome on the LG C1. But I also use the PlayStation 5 over on my desk setup, so I will talk more about the PS5 later once we move over to that. Now let me show you what I'm hiding inside the unit. This is all of the gear and accessories I don't normally show, but I've still tried to keep it tidy. So I've got my AV receiver, which powers my speaker setup, and this is an Onkyo AVR that I've had for a few years now. I also have a magic eye that's stuck to the front of the speaker. This repeats the signal from outside the cabinet to inside when the doors are closed, and that allows me to control everything inside. Next to the AVR, I've got a Nintendo Switch, and this is the original model, so it's pretty tired looking, but it's docked most of the time and used with the TV. Then these are all of the physical games that I currently have. I actually buy most of my games digitally, but I have got a few PS4 and PS5 games and discs. And here's my Switch collection, so there's not many here, and most of them are used by my children. It's weird because I only buy physical games for the Switch, but I buy digital for everything else. Now the Steelbooks are my favourite games in the collection that I have. The newest is the 25th anniversary GT7, which is awesome. But I actually think my favourite steelbook that I have so far is probably the Spider-Man. I think the artwork is really nice on this. I then got a few others including Cyberpunk, Days Gone and The Last of Us Part 2. As I say, I do buy most of my games digitally. It's just easier and more convenient for me to play and store my games this way. And that's why I recently upgraded to a 4TB SSD in the PS5. On the top shelf, I've got a couple of Switch cases from Satisfy, and this is where I actually store the games as well. Now I didn't film this, but I also use the Satisfy grips with the Switch, and it makes a huge difference with how you hold it. And here are a couple of faceplates for the Xbox Series X controller from Scuff. I don't swap them often, but it means I can change the colour of the controller if I wanted to. Next to that, we've got an Apple TV 4K, and this is the most recent version that launched last year. This lets you stream movies and AirPlay and access the Apple Arcade from the TV. And these two little white boxes here are for my home heating system with Hive and the Philips Hue bridge. Now although I'm using LifeX lights around the house, I do still have a few Philips Hue bulbs as well. And finally I have an 8-port gigabit network switch, and this is what I use to provide a wired connection to the TV, the AVR and all of the games consoles in the setup. And inside this little door on the right is where I charge my controllers. I've only ever got 2 PlayStation 5 or 2 Xbox controllers in here, but it means I can keep them charging and out of sight. I mentioned that I'm using a monitor audio bronze center channel speaker. Well, that forms part of a 5.1 system. I've had these for a few years now and they sound absolutely incredible. They're hooked up to the Onkyo AVR that I have in the cabinet and they are perfect for anything I play through them, music, movies or gaming. I've got the 2 front speakers either side of the TV and these are the bronze 2s. The right one is sitting on this mission stand at around 60 centimeters tall, while the left one is on the shelf. Both of these speakers are at the same height, which is purely coincidental. I did actually buy these metal stands as a pair, but I quite like the asymmetrical look here, plus it gives me room for my sub. And this is a new addition, it's something that I only added a couple of weeks ago. And this replaces an Onkyo sub that I used to have behind the sofa, but I wanted something bigger and better. So here it is, this is a Monitor Audio Bronze W10 sub. And like with the speakers, I've taken the covers off because I think they look so much better this way. Around the back I've got the bronze 1 speakers and these are sitting on some wall brackets that I fitted. The cables are a little untidy though and it's definitely something that I need to sort. But yeah, combined this 5.1 system kicks out some serious sound. The clarity and the bass is just awesome. It's on a whole different level to anything I've had before. Fortunately I live in a detached house so annoying the neighbours isn't something that I need to worry about. Oh, and next to the front speaker I've got this real plant in a white plant pot. I can't remember the name of the plant now, I think it's called
Fuck.
Looking at the consoles I'm currently using with my setup, I've got the Xbox Series X here, which is used most of the time for games like Forza. Anything that I can get on Game Pass, I will play on this console. A lot of you ask me, how is the Xbox even connected to the TV? Well, I have an HDMI cable that goes from the Xbox, under the carpet, up and through the wall, and into the back of the TV. I could have put the Xbox in the
absolute
cabinet, but I like
nuts.
the look of it on the shelf. Next to that we've got the Xbox Series S. Now this isn't used a great deal actually. It was bought originally for my children to use so I could use the Xbox Series X, but so far that's not happened. Eventually I will move the Series S into a different room, but for now it just sits on the shelf. Then we have the OLED Switch, and this is actually only used by me and it's only used in handheld mode. It's not actually connected to the TV like the other Switch. But what I like about the new OLED Switch is I like the stand on the back. It's so much more sturdy than the previous model. Plus, of course, the OLED screen is so much nicer. So I'm going to come back to the shelving unit in a couple of minutes, but let's take a look at the desk setup next. Now this setup was actually only going to be for a few weeks. It was just something I wanted to build, test out, and then I would pack it away again. Well, that was over 5 months ago now, and it's been used a lot more than I ever expected it would be.
That sucks.
The chair that I'm using is the Herman Miller & Body, and this is in collaboration with the Logitech, so it forms part of their gaming range. Now I've said this before, but this is the best chair that I've ever used. It looks good, and it is incredibly comfy to sit in. Now I use this on the carpet, and it actually rolls and moves very well on it. However, I have still put a floor mat down just to protect the carpet more than anything else. The desk that I'm using is from FlexiSpot, and I opted for the full black version, so that's the black standing legs and the black top. I rarely use it in standing though, it's practically only used in the sitting position. On the top there's the 20